Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Minnesota Vikings at Detroit Lions, Sunday at 1. Lions by 8.5. JJ McCarthy coming back for the Vikings. Over-under, by the way, 48.5. The 3-4 Vikings against the 5-2 Detroit Lions.
Yeah, with the Lions heavily favored. I mean, Vegas has no confidence anymore in what this Vikings team is putting out there. And reasonably so. I mean, the offense has been struggling regardless of quarterback, and they may be downgrading going to JJ McCarthy. We don't know. And then the defense, which has been, I mean, that's arguably the more concerning aspect, is this Flores defense has been, I don't want to say found out, but it's been struggling in recent weeks, and they're going up against a Lions team that has traditionally done very well against them. So these are not things that lead you to being confident in a Minnesota victory.
You have a few different dynamics at play here. I mean, if Wentz truly was 3 weeks playing through this horrible shoulder injury, you know, how much do you chalk up? Like, maybe JJ McCarthy will be better. I mean, the big thing is we just don't know what we're getting from JJ McCarthy. We just really don't know. So that's a big question. And then the other side, you have the usual, we used to call it Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores, but it's been Jared Goff and Ben Johnson against Brian Flores. Jared Goff has had a ton of success against Flores these last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Just a fun storyline, right? Like 2018 Super Bowl, 2019 when Flores was in Miami. Early Flores used to own Jared Goff. Zero blitz. Goff would do you go, you do that all the time. Jared Goff, that's how he handled zero blitz. You go, and just throw it up. Hey, Stephon Gilmore. Hey, whoever Miami had that year at corner.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle Brian Flores 6 years ago. Now he owns Brian Flores and all their blitz schemes. The Lions have had really good answers for Flores and the Vikings.
Yeah, they have. I think, again, Flores needs to come up with some solutions to how that defense has been getting picked apart recently. And a huge element here is I think the Vikings are getting a lot of players back for this game. Obviously, JJ McCarthy is the big thing on offense. You're getting your quarterback back. Theoretically, you're also Christian Darrisaw has been a full participant, so he should be definitely ready to go. Brian O'Neill has been limited. They could do with him being back. Like if they got both those guys back, that would be huge. Your bookend tackles, you're getting most of the way towards the offensive line that you really want to put on the field for the first time this year. That's huge. If they don't have those tackles, they're screwed. If they do have the tackles, all right, at least you've got a shot on offense. They're also theoretically getting some defensive players back. Andrew Van Ginkel's has been a full participant as well. He has been very important to this Flores defense.
Yeah.
The whole time he's out there. On the one hand, you've got the fact that, the replacements for Van Ginkel have not necessarily been doing anything since coming into the NFL. Van Ginkel is really important to what they do. Jonathan Grenard is limited. He's really important as well. Isaiah Rodgers limited. He's pretty important. Like, if the limited guys play, okay, we've got most of the important players on this defense back in action, and that's a really good thing. Like, Dallas Turner has not been able to hold up his end of the bargain, so Van Ginkel replacing him in the lineup would be huge. That probably gives Flores something to work with in terms of, right, let's try and change what we're doing. Let's try and have a real impact here. But he does need to, I think, shift what he's doing a bit.
Yeah, and then Detroit's coming off their bye. Had a nice win against Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. A little uneven from the offense, but they, defense did a really nice job. That was the last time we saw them. Their defense was really beat up. So we'll see how healthy they're getting. Aiden Hutchinson just got paid for Detroit, and I think rightfully so. Still one of the more disruptive players in the league, and they're moving him around a lot more this season. So depending on who is out there for Minnesota, could see some mismatches there.
Yeah, he is third, I think, in the NFL in terms of total pressures, according to NGS data. He's been exceptionally productive for them.
Yeah. So it's going to be a fun one. Let's see what happens with JJ McCarthy. Just to reiterate for the 900th time, we've seen 2 games of him. First 3 quarters against the Bears in week 1 was not great. Makes an awesome fourth quarter comeback. And then week 2 is against a really good Atlanta defense at that time in the season, seemingly, right?
Right.
5-man pressures, Divine Diablo, linebackers coming from all angles. And they would just Atlanta's defense looked good. JJ did not look good. He also just didn't look good. So we don't know. It's early.
For his entire time, even when he played well for a brief period of time, his entire time he has not looked the game has looked fast for him. He's not looked comfortable with what he's seeing. He's taken time in the pocket. He's been slow putting the ball in the air. He looks like a rookie. I mean, obviously it's year 2 for him, but it's effectively his rookie season, given that his first year was on the shelf with a knee injury the whole time. He looks like a rookie that's struggling to adapt to the pace of the game at the moment. And the Vikings don't have time for him to get that. They need that to speed up now.
All right, man. I'm looking forward to this one as well. I know it's 8.5, but the JJ McCarthy return, I still think that offense, if the offensive line can hold up, I still think the offense has a ton of potential. If McCarthy's going to have success, he's still set up for success. Pass catchers are there. They can run the ball a little bit, and they got KOC. He's still set up for success. So if the Vikings offense comes to life, I wouldn't be surprised. And I do wonder if Wentz wasn't as hurt and dropping his eyes and just taking hits and sacks he shouldn't have. I do wonder if that offense should have been better if he was healthier.
I think such a huge part of this offense this year has simply been how healthy is the offensive line in this week, right? And it's gone all the way from 4/5 of the offensive line, the starting 5 have been in the lineup, to I think at one point they've had 1/5 of the line, one guy that's supposed to be starting, and at times the guys that aren't starting are not just the first backup, they're like second backup, third string guys in there. So I really think that's a huge part of the variance of this offense has been just how banged up is the offensive line this week. This week, it might be 4/5, intact, which is as good as it's been so far this year, and yet still not 5/5. But if it's 4/5 good, you expect this line, that's as good as you can expect it to be, right? Be thankful that it's 4/5 good and go out there and play.
And then finally, from Detroit's point of view, this game against Minnesota, they're 8.5-point favorites. They're going to Washington next week, NFC division round rematch from last year. Should be favored, I think, pretty heavily against Washington, depending on how they look this week with Jaden Daniels. And then they're at Philly, the Lions. November 16th, Sunday Night Football, when we're talking, other than the Packers game, week 1, and then playing the Packers again in week 13, as big as it gets when it comes to maybe the number 1 seed, home field advantage. So it's an important stretch for Detroit here, where I think they're going to be favored for a couple weeks, and then get the Eagles and then the Packers 2 out of 3 weeks in a battle for the number 1 seed. And so coming off the bye, getting a little bit healthier on defense, I think it's a big one for Detroit to just keep their overall momentum outside of one loss against Kansas City.
Yep.
Where are you going to go? 8.5.
Going to go with the Lions to cover 8.5.
I'll take the Lions as well, as will Harry. Despite the unknown at quarterback for Minnesota.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.